Hi, I'm Ray, and I wanted to share a little taste of what to expect at the next Feldenkrais Runners Workshop that I'm going to be holding. Uh, I'm going to show you a short movement exploration that you runners can do easily at home to get clearer on what the rotation of the upper body and the connection between the shoulder and the opposite hip, what we call contralateral movement, what that has to do with your running motion and your walking too. So give it a try. Check it out. And if you want to learn more about the workshop, you can go to moveintuitive.com/run to get all the details. So give it a try. Let me know how it goes, and hope to see you at the workshop.
So first, find a quiet place where you have some room to stand and walk around a little bit. And take your shoes off if you can so you can better sense your contact with the floor. Now, before we get started, a few things. First, this isn't an exercise or stretching routine. It's meant to engage your brain to help you sense more clearly what's easy for you and how you can use your whole body in a more efficient way when you're running. The objective here is to learn, and your nervous system learns best when it feels safe. So go slowly, never move into tension or pain, but stay within the zone of what's easy for you. Also, your ability to pay attention and stay curious about what you're doing is going to provide you much more benefit than simply completing the sequence of movements for completion's sake. Now, if you find you want to stay with and explore any of the movements a little bit more before you move on, just pause the video. There's no requirement to complete the movement sequence in a certain amount of time. Please focus more on making everything you do as easy and as clear as possible. It may also be a nice idea to take breaks, to walk or even jog around a little bit throughout this lesson so you can notice the effect of these gentle movements on your gait. So, begin in standing with your feet about hips width apart and notice the distribution of weight in each foot. Is your weight shifted more to the left or the right? What parts of each foot are making the most contact or holding the most weight? Is it the balls of the foot or the heel? And it might be different on either foot. Notice as well how you're breathing. Now begin very slowly to shift your weight gently to the right and back to the middle just a few times. Go slowly and have an intention of curiosity that you'll carry with you throughout this whole sequence. As you shift your weight to the right, notice what parts of the right foot take your weight. Pause in the middle and now begin to shift your weight to the left foot and back to the middle a few times. Notice, do you have an easier time shifting to the left or was it easier to the right? Notice what parts of your left foot take your weight. Come back to the middle. Now shift your weight to the right again and then to the left in a continuous manner. Do this a few times, noticing how the weight transfers from one foot to the other and how it transfers through your entire body as you shift from the right to the left. As you do this, notice how you're breathing. Is it smooth and easy, or do you hold your breath at any point? Come back to the middle, pause, set your feet, and just notice the distribution of weight now. Now begin to slowly turn your entire upper body to the right, but only as far as is really easy and comfortable. In Feldenkrais movements, we stay always within the zone of ease. This is the place where we can safely and comfortably explore and create kind of a starting point for learning some cool new things. Now, as you turn to the right, allow your weight to shift onto your right foot. And as you do this, turning to the right and back to the middle, notice which part of you turns first. Is it your head, or maybe it's your eyes, your shoulders? Just pay attention to what initiates the movement. And as you turn your upper body, what sort of participation or engagement is happening in the lower body? Do you feel your hips engage? At what point in the turning do you sense their participation? How does the weight shift into the sole of your right foot as you turn? What part of the foot does your weight come into? Notice, is your left heel invited to leave the floor a little bit as you turn to the right? And as you do this, again, do less than you think you can. It's not a stretch. And pay attention to the quality of your breathing. If it's anything less than easy, back off, make the movement smaller, slower. The next time you come back to the middle, pause. And when you're ready, begin to do the same thing to the left. And notice how far you go easily to this side. And remember that it may not be the same amount or distance as you went easily to the right side, and that's okay. Notice as well what part of you initiates the movement, whether it's your head, your eyes, or somewhere else. And what we're doing now is gathering some data that we can use to start learning even more about ourselves as we begin to compare and contrast the experience of turning the upper body to the left now to the experience of turning everything to the right as you did a minute ago. And as you notice in this comparing and contrasting what may be different from side to side, don't try to make it the same. There's no benefit to evening things out. The benefit comes in noticing. Pay attention to your breathing. If you find that your breathing is compromised as you turn to one side or the other during a slow, easy movement like this, then there's a good chance that it's going to be compromised when you're putting in a lot more effort moving faster while you're running. So difficulty in breathing when you're doing a movement sequence like this is a good cue to take things even more slowly and easily. As you continue to turn to the left and back to the middle, notice the shifting of weight through your whole body into the left hip and left foot, allowing the right heel to gently leave the floor. Come back to the middle now and pause, and notice the weight distribution through both of your feet again. Has anything shifted for you anywhere in your body after these simple sequences of turning to the right and the left? Begin now to turn your upper body to the right again, but this time instead of shifting your weight into your right foot, bring your attention to your right hip. And as you turn the left shoulder toward the right side of you, allow your right hip to come a little bit closer to the left shoulder. And go back and forth very slowly like this. And as you turn, each time see if you can make the relationship, that line between the left shoulder and the right hip, a little bit clearer. And this is, of course, that contralateral relationship, the shoulder opposite hip relationship that we encounter in running and walking. As you do this, keep the movement small so you really notice that point where the hip and the shoulder sync up. You can imagine maybe that there's an elastic band connecting them. As they move apart, the elasticity of the band brings them back toward each other in a gentle kind of recoil. And allow your head to join the movement as well, turning to the right and back to the middle each time. And as you continue turning to the right, let your right knee be supple so that as the right hip softly floats up diagonally toward the left shoulder, the knee can bend and the heel might come a little bit away from the floor. And you might notice this has already been naturally happening as you allow the hip and shoulder to come together as you turn. And imagine that your leg is almost weightless. Sense that the right knee can bend easily, the right heel comes away from the floor without any additional effort. And continue rotating the upper body in this way, allowing the right hip and knee and heel to respond or follow the movement of the upper body. There's no need to force anything. You want to find the smallest possible movement that makes really clear the connection between the left shoulder and the right hip and the entire right leg. Pause, come back to the middle, and now let's explore the same thing on the other side. So as you begin to gently turn your upper body to the left, begin to draw that line of connection in your mind's eye between the right shoulder and the left hip, allowing your head to turn at the same time. And notice, again, how is the relationship, how is that line between the shoulder and the hip different on this side compared to the other side? Is that line more or less clear? Notice how you're breathing as you turn to the left. and bring the right shoulder and left hip closer together. Can you allow the left hip, knee, and heel to all join this movement without adding any extra effort to it? As you do this, pay attention to anywhere in your body where you could create more softness or where you could let go of tension or unnecessary effort so that you could allow this movement relationship between the shoulder and the hip and the knee and the foot to become even clearer, even more comfortable. Pause in the middle again and pay attention to the distribution of weight in your feet now. When you're ready, begin turning to the right again, paying attention to the line between the left shoulder and the right hip, allowing the right knee to bend and the right heel to come away from the floor and the head to go with them. Maintain a smooth, easy breathing flow. And notice, is this movement any easier or clearer for you now? Do it just a couple of times, then pause, and go ahead and try it on the left. Pause in the middle, and now begin to turn to the right again, but keep your head in the middle. And not in a stiff way, but with the intention that your head is going to stay put, your eyes looking straight ahead at the horizon. So now we're getting even closer to the motion of running, but we're still just going to be turning to one side for now and back to the middle. So as you do this, can you allow your neck to stay long and soft? Can your jaw be soft as well? As you continue to turn, can you keep your eyes pointed at the horizon but maintain a soft gaze? Don't over-focus. And do this a few times, then pause in the middle. And try it now on the left, keeping the neck, the jaw, the eyes soft, and of course, breathing easily. Pause in the middle again. Notice the weight in both of your feet. And very slowly begin turning to the right with the head staying in the middle, the eyes, jaws, neck all soft. And as you come back to the midline, continue your turning to the left. And make it very slow so that you can really appreciate the experience of crossing the midline and beginning to integrate the two sides of movement that you've been exploring so far. And what do you need to do to keep everything in your neck and your face as relaxed as possible as you do this? And of course, to keep your breathing smooth and free. Continue slowly turning to the right and the left, paying attention to the relationship of each shoulder and the opposite hip as you do this. Now, a few times, as you continue turning in both directions, bring your attention just to the right shoulder and left hip in both directions. And as you draw that line between the right shoulder and the left hip, sense how it becomes longer and shorter and how the whole front of your body changes shape. And then a few times, pay attention to that line between the left shoulder and the right hip and the change in shape in the front of your body. And now continue turning, but see if you can bring your attention, bring your mind's eye toward the back of your upper body. Can you sense how what's happening on the front of you also changes the shape of your back as you turn to the left and to the right? If you can't sense or see in your mind's eye as clearly what's happening on the back of you as you can on the front, that's okay. Just the act of bringing your awareness to this part of you as you do the movements can be powerful. Pause, come back to the middle, check your feet again, notice the distribution of weight in each foot. Take a moment to notice your breathing and sense if anything else has shifted for you anywhere in your body. Do you perhaps feel a little more rooted to the ground? Begin turning to the right and left again, with your head staying in the middle, and this time, bring your arms up slowly, your elbows bent a little less than 90 degrees. So now you're getting even a little bit closer to mimicking the motion of running in place. And can you start to allow your arms to participate in the movement of turning to the right and the left in a way that complements that connection between each shoulder and its opposite hip? So, in another sense, can you bring your arms into this movement pattern we've been exploring without disturbing that movement? Keep it small, only do as much as is easy. And as you continue turning to the right and left, bringing the arms into it, see if you can smooth everything out. Soften the edges of the movement so that you're almost flowing from side to side. You could maybe even imagine that you're running on air or underwater. Once again, pause in the middle. Rest in standing, check your feet, notice the distribution of weight. When you're ready, go ahead and take a little walk around, and you can even jog a little bit to see what that's like for you now.
So there you have it. That's one of the ideas that we're going to cover and explore in more detail in the next Feldenkrais Runners Workshop. And you can go to, again, moveintuitive.com/run. That's moveintuitive.com/run to get all the details. It's going to be a great workshop. I'm really excited about it. And it's one that runners of all abilities will benefit from. And I'll tell you why. Because what we're going to be working on ultimately in this workshop is to help each person find the version of running that is best for themselves, your best version of running for you. Because let's face it, if you're running according to some other person's idea of what good running should be or looks like, but it's not clicking for you, it doesn't feel quite right, even if you think it should be. If you're constantly fighting yourself to maintain good form, what's going to happen? You're going to waste energy, and ultimately you're not going to have fun. And that's why we run. We run because it's fun, because it's enjoyable. So finding the best version of running for each person. And probably the biggest way we're going to do that, kind of the fundamental way, is by learning to better sense what it is you're doing with yourself as you run. And this is kind of the foundation. It's one of the core principles of the Feldenkrais method, which is it's only when you know, and not just know intellectually in your thinking brain, but know you can feel and sense clearly in the parts of your brain that are responsible for sensory perception and motor control, the movement parts of your brain and the sensing parts of your brain, that you can know in those parts of your brain what you're doing in any given moment. It's only when you have that foundation that you can then improve, make different choices, find what's easy and best for you with your running or with any other kind of activity. So that's the first part. That's kind of the base layer that we're going to work on, is learning to first know what you're doing as you run. So in this workshop, we're going to then build on that foundation by exploring some specific principles, some ideas of how you can organize yourself for more efficient running. So some clues, maybe form ideas, to help you find that optimal organization of your skeleton and gravity with each step. So where you're transferring the ground force up through the whole skeleton using the spring action that starts in the arches of your feet. Now, I don't expect you to take these ideas, these principles at face value. So we're gonna put them into the laboratory, if you will, using a series of gentle Feldenkrais awareness through movement lessons. And these will give you an awesome chance to feel and understand at a really fundamental level, again, that motor control level deep in the brain, how to organize yourself and your body for better running that feels easy, that feels natural. So this may be kind of different from other workshops, other running workshops you've taken, where you're not so much learning how to copy or imitate good form, but taking some ideas about what is good running form, then putting them into practice for yourself in a very deliberate, gentle way, and then from there finding what's easy for you. So you're going to hopefully gain some skills, not just in terms of what to do with your body as you run, but also how to just better sense and feel what you're doing as you're running. So the ultimate goal that I have for everybody in this workshop is that you'll leave having experienced what it means for you to run in a way that's easy, efficient, pleasurable, natural, repeatable, good running, and what it means for you. So if this sounds interesting to you, you want to learn what easier, more efficient running feels like for you and gain more trust in your running body and your running abilities, go ahead and check out moveintuitive.com/run, where you can learn more and register. If you have any questions, you can hit me up over email, send me a DM on Instagram or Facebook, wherever you find me. I'd love to hear from you, answer any questions you have about the workshop, about Feldenkrais, and how we're going to be running things. So, pun intended. So, check it out, moveintuitive.com/run. Hope to see you there.